European way of St. James. Take your chance to see everything anew. Trust your new experience. Go boldly in new directions. Discover. Only in the further journey, step by step, you will remain on the trail. You will discover the meaning of your life, as the right way of the pilgrimage is the everyday life of our lives. James the Great, son of Zebedee, brother of St. John the Evangelist, arrived in the northern part of the Iberian Peninsula, where he and a group of followers began missionary activity in the year 33 AD. However, due to failures, he returned to the Holy Land, where he was murdered. The body of the apostle was lain in a stone sarcophagus and was taken to a boat by witnesses of his martyrdom, that it could be transported to a safe place. The boat carrying the body of St. James reached the shore of Finisterre, which means in Latin, the end of the earth. The place of burial was shrouded in mystery, and over time, it was forgotten exactly where the body of the apostle was lain. After 8 centuries, the resting place of St. James was rediscovered. Between the years 788 and 838, relics were discovered which were considered to be his remains. At that time, Isidore of Seville states in his legend that a hermit Pelagius had a revelation in which he was told that the field of stars would take him into the tomb of St. James. Santiago in Spanish means St. James. Compostela means the field of stars. So here we have the etymology of the name of the settlement in which the sanctuary Santiago de Compostela was built. Europe was enveloped by a web of pilgrim roads leading to Santiago de Compostela. Numerous estates, towns and cities were created and developed along the trail, and with them churches, monasteries and hostels. Traces of this have survived to this day and are tourist attractions, as well as being part of the key infrastructure of today's Camino de Santiago. For several years, in many countries, there have been hiking and biking trails marked by a shell symbol, showing the ways of St. James.
Pielgrzym Jakubowy, moim zdaniem.
A pilgrim of St. James, in my opinion, and I'm speaking from my own experience, they are in the champion league of pilgrimage and tourism. This is for the person who has to prepare everything for themselves, to have everything on themselves, to carry everything on their back.
Wszystko nieść na plecach.
Ludzie czują potrzebę, żeby pójść.
People feel the need to go, to get away from their everyday problems, from rushing and to think their lives over again.
Przemyśleć na nowo swoje życie.
Coraz więcej Polaków, myślę, że szczególnie ludzi młodych.
More and more Poles, especially young people I think, go on a pilgrimage along the ways of St. James, not only to touch the beauty of the place, the surroundings or the interior, but in order to answer those fundamental questions that a lot of people ask themselves.
Powiedzieć sobie na te podstawowe pytanie, które stawia sobie wielu ludzi. Po co żyje? Dlaczego żyje?
1 year has passed again, and I still wear a pilgrim's hat and shoes. The sun is high, it's hard to go into the valley. Sometimes our way wants it from us. By ravine, carried by roots, the bridge carries us. The Great Polish Way of St. James begins in the area of one of the oldest historical states of Poland, in Greater Poland and Kuyavia.
Bazylika Trzemieszyńska w swoim obecnym...
The Basilica in Przemyśl, in its present form, dates from the 18th century, but it is actually one of the oldest churches in Poland.
Jednym z najstarszych kościołów w Polsce. Teraz jesteśmy pod kopułą, ogromną kopułą.
We are now under the dome, which was designed by Pompeo Ferrari, an Italian architect who left many outstanding buildings in Greater Poland.
Wiele dzieł architektonicznych. W tym klasztorze, w kościele klasztornym...
In this monastery, the remains of St. Adalbert rested after being brought from Prussia by Duke Bolesław Chrobry, while the dignified final resting place was being prepared in Gniezno Cathedral.
Przygotowanie godnego miejsca w Gnieźnie, w katedrze gnieźnieńskiej.
This is where the first capital of Poland was located, in Gniezno. where, in the 10th century, on Lech's Hill, a borough was created, of which Mieszko I was the first ruler.
Gniezno od Santiago de Compostela dzieli 3000
Gniezno and Santiago de Compostela are about 3,550 kilometers away, depending on which way you go. But everyone can go these 3,500 kilometers without showing any document. We can, like Saint Adalbert of Prague, go ahead.
Jak święty Wojciech możemy iść przed siebie.
The Cathedral Church of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin and St. Wojciech, bearing the title of a minor basilica, is the place of worship of the first Polish martyr, formerly being the seat of the first Polish archbishop. Places of interest in this stretch of St. James's Way include the church, the Franciscan monastery, and the Museum of the Origins of the Polish country.
To miejsce jest wyjątkowe
This place is unique and one of a kind for every Pole.
dla każdego Polaka.
Moving towards Piekary, we pass yet another historic cemetery with the Baroque church of St. Peter and St. Paul. Then, going to the right, through Piekary, we come to Brachiszewo. Passing through Giszkowo, Grzegnowo, Żydówko, Siemiagnowo, we come to Waliszewo, where a wooden successful church of St. Catherine is placed. Next, we pass Legnicki Field, where since 1997, the Poland-wide youth meeting Legnica 2000 takes place. The trail leads further through Skrzetuszewo, Głębokie, Chorzewo, Stkorcin, and Turosztowo. Through the Zielonka forest, we reach Dąbrówka Kościelna, a broad rural area being a local Marian sanctum, where a pilgrimage church of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin was built. Here, forests of predominantly pine trees constitute about 80% of the landscape, which was formed by glacial action. In this area, there are about 50 lakes surrounded by forests. The Way of St. James runs through Dziewica Góra, the highest hill in the range. Set out on one's way. Set out, follow the longing. Set out, pluck up the courage. Set out, leave what is familiar. Set out, dare to new things. The whole road is in the first step. Following this trail, we reach Treblinka, a charming town with a Baroque castle which is surrounded by a landscaped tourist park.
To miejsce znajduje się na dawnym pograniczu
This
polsko-niemieckim.
place is located on the former Polish and German border, so the owner of the palace at the time, Baron von Liesen, did not accept Polish citizenship. Many mysteries that could have been written down here are now lost. Several times I was asked if this place is haunted. I answered that there is no white lady. The white lady went away.
Nie ma białej damy, biała dama wyjechała.
From here through the towns, Nichud, Osowa-Sien, Wyschowa, Konradów, Zamysłów, Wilków and Serbi, we wander further to Głogów and specifically to Jakubów city, where the initiative of the pilgrimage trail was conceived. The church, built in the so-called Pleasant Gothic style, dates from the end of the 14th century.
Wróciłem od grobu apostołów świętego Piotra i Pawła z Rzymu, modliłem się przy grobie błogosławionego Jana Pawła II, dziękując
I came back from the tomb of the apostles St. Peter and Paul in Rome, where I prayed at the tomb of Blessed John Paul II, thanking him for the fact that for many years the worship of St. James, the greatest apostle, has been continued in Poland. The ways leading to the tomb of St. James in Santiago de Compostela, they come alive again and again thanks to the pilgrims who wish to find new meaning and purpose in their lives.
którzy pragną odszukać na nowo sensu i celu swojego życia.
Here we can find a spring called Studnia Jakubowa, which was a magnet for travellers and pilgrims, as it was believed that the water helped to heal wounds, strengthen the body, improve eyesight, and to cure infertility. Beyond the spring, the Buczyna Jakubowska Reserve was created in 2001, being 19 hectares in area. Here, there is also a forest reserve, Uroczysko Obyszów. Consecutively, the St. James Trail leads through Grodowiec, Komornik, Polkowice, Sobin, Nowa Wieś Lubinska, Pogosielisko, Chocianów, Bory Dolnośląskie, Nowa Kuźnia, Modłe, Tomaszów Bolesławieckie, Nowogrodziec, Rarogoszcz, Lubań, Pisarzowice, up to Henryków Lubanskie. In Henryków, we pass St. Nicholas's Church, which is surrounded by a cemetery wall with a portico, which originates from the 13th century. Going further along the designated trail, we get to a yew tree, which is the oldest tree in Poland, and even in the whole of Central Europe. The yew tree is about 1300 years old, and despite being damaged during the Napoleonic Wars, it is still in good condition. Having passed the yew in Henryków, we follow the trail to Sławnikowice. Going further without deviation from the trail, we enter Gronowo. This village was founded in the 14th century, and the Church of Our Lady Queen of Poland is located here. In the village, a historical manor complex with the court from the 19th century has been renovated, and the owner happily hosts pilgrims of the St. James's Trail.
Przyjmujemy pielgrzymów prywatnie, mamy specjalny pokój dla nich.
We host the pilgrims privately. We have a special room for them because we know that such a hard path is difficult for them. They organise everything themselves, and like everyone, they need rest. They feel very comfortable in our place. I also have to say that they are our greatest guests. Their mentality and attitude is awesome.
Nastawienie pielgrzyma to są dla nas też niesamowici ludzie.
To the west, through the southern part of Lower Silesia, the Sudecka Way of St. James leads through historical trails while using old roads and paths from the sanctuary in Krzeszów, and brings us to Lubań on the border of Lower Silesia and Upper Lusatia, and connects with the other trails of Camino de Santiago in Poland. Krzeszów is a very important place on the Way of St. James. A monastery complex is located here, which comprises the sanctuary of Our Lady of Grace, the Church of St. Joseph, the mausoleums of Swidnica, Jawor Piast, the House of Abbot, and the ex-Cisterian monastery of the Benedictine sisters. From Krzeszów, we get to Bethlehem, a village of recreation and spiritual character. There is a wooden hermitage and the chapel of Bethlehem here. 6 kilometers from Krzeszów, we reach Kamienna Góra and Czarnów, one of the highest located villages in Rudawie Janowieckie. Further along the way, among the hills leading to Kamienna Góra, lies a church built 300 years ago by Protestants. This is one of the 7 churches of grace. The second one is further on, in Sudecka Way in Jelenia Góra. After passing Kowary and Bukowiec, we get to Mysłakowice and the Tyrolean House.
Mysłakowice. Tyrolczycy, którzy dotarli tutaj w
Łomnica, Mysłakowice. Tyrolean people arrived here in 1837. We can also say that they were pilgrims because they had to leave their country, Tyrol, due to religious reasons, and to move right here into the Jelenia Góra Valley. In this sense, today's pilgrims have much in common with the Tyrolean people.
Pielgrzymi dzisiejsi mają wiele wspólnego z tamtymi Tyrolczykami. Ale tak patrzę na ten pomnik.
Here, next to the Tyrolean house, there is a monument saying, faith and suffering.
Mamy takie jego motto, czyli wiara i cierpienie. To też
That is also some experience which a pilgrim on the Way of St. James acquires. It makes him or her look differently at themselves, their life and everything that surrounds
zupełnie
them.
inaczej na siebie samego, na swoje życie i na wszystko, co go otacza.
There is also a church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus with marble pillars at the entrance, which come from the archaeological excavation in Pompeii. When visiting Jelenia Góra, we head to Sandlicin, where, in the beginning of the 14th century, the Duke's Tower was built. Unique wall paintings depicting the adventures of Lancelot of the Lake and his history have survived in the tower. These are the oldest secular-themed paintings from the year 1360.
W wieży książęcej w Siedlęcinie malowidła to jedna perełka, a druga rzecz niezwykle cenna to sama
In the
konstrukcja.
Knight's Tower in St. Lichin, the paintings make one jewel, and another extremely valuable thing being the construction itself. The paintings were created about 1345, in the middle of the 14th century, while those beams, that construction comes from trees that were felled in winter 1313, 1314, 700 years ago. A good year, 1313.
Dobry rocznik, 1313.
Wrzeszczyn, Maciejowiec, Radomice, Wojciechów are towns on the way of St. James. In Wrzeszczyn, we find Wrzeszczyński Lake being the youngest of the artificial reservoirs in the Bobrzanska group between Jelenia Góra and Pilchowice. Here, pilgrims can shelter in the Kowalowe rocks. The 8th of July 2011, it's not the way that is the difficulty, but the difficulties are the way. From the pilgrimage way of St. James, Sudetska Way, which leads to Santiago de Compostela, where the tomb of St. James is located. We heartily thank you for the nice welcome, food and peace, with the blessing of the pilgrimage and promise of prayer. Bien camino. We were happy to meet you on the way of St. James. A good heart, a smile, the beautiful area and quiet brought relief to tired feet. Bien camino. We set off along the Blue Trail through Dziki Wąwóz and further through the valley of Bobr to Maciejowiec. Wojciechów, Lubomierz, Gryfów Śląski, Biedrzychowice, Olszina. In Gryfów Śląski, we can visit the church of St. Jadwiga from the 15th century, being built in the late Gothic style. Inside, there is a wooden altar adorned with the symbols of patience, prudence, hope, justice, and fortitude. The altar comes from the year 1606. Also of interest is the epitaph of the Schafgott family, carved in sandstone. Full-sized figures of the deceased members of the family were carved during the Renaissance. From the church we enter the Blue Trail, which leads us to Biedrzychowice, Olszina and Lubań. There is one more important stop on St. Joseph's Way. It's the Church of Uniegoszcz.
Pielgrzym Paweł sobie przylazł z Wrocławia i po 6
Paul the Pilgrim came from Wrocław and, after 6 days of walking, arrived here. In the morning I'm going further to Santiago. I hope to reach it by about the 20th of July, and then back to Woodstock. I came from Chodziwel in Western Pomerania province. This year I turned 30. God is great.
Morskiego. W tym roku kończę 30 lat. Bóg jest wielki.
Santiago de Compostela. It was an important goal, but now I can see that you came back home a changed man. Rich in personal experience, you are no longer the same who set off. However, people, a lot of questions and problems remained. In Santiago, a bell will sound in your inside, which will accompany you on the way of further life. And when once again it stops, then it's time for you to set off to Santiago again.
Go. Go, take your rucksack, take your shoes, go. And you will encounter so many things, and you will open yourself and you will find whatever you are looking for.